Get you pumped up about because the Shepparton Gators are in the Big V Basketball Grand Final, and we're talking all things basketball with the head coach Lee Bathern. Lee, good morning. How are you?
G'day, Brandan. How we going, boys?
Doing very well, thanks, Lee. Obviously, a big weekend of basketball coming up. The Championship Series, unfortunately, we're love one down, but the best thing about that is we've beaten Chelsea on their home court once already this year. We can do it again. Well, we're going to have to do it twice in 2 days, but we can definitely do it again. Lee, how's the week been?
Very light early in the week, as always, and we'll crank things up on Thursday night. Going through a few different defensive strategies on how to slow the goals down, and more specifically, Corey Standerfer and Mitch Riggs, who had a massive impact in Game 1.
Corey's for Game 1 in Shep last week was huge, and I think he got like 40-odd points in that first game, and just managed to seem like he could drill shots from pretty much anywhere at this last week.
Yeah, well, shooting, perimeter shooting is not usually a strength, but when he's a good all-round player, so when he's up and going and high on confidence, he's just a tough matchup for anyone in the league to defend. So it's we just need to hopefully he has a down game tonight, and if we can get that done tonight and then through to tomorrow, that's what we'll be hoping on. But I think the defensive strategies and the adjustments we'll make will need to work, and guys are keen to try and lock him up a little bit this week at 42 points last week. If he has that again, we'll be going against the current.
Lee, the Chelsea goals made quite a few, it looks like 10 3-pointers last week. What's the strategy this week to try and shut down the shooting from outside that centre circle or that half circle?
No, just a little bit less latitude. We've reviewed what Corey made and felt most of his were contested. They were just too good at shots in the end. You shake his hand at the end of the game and say, well played, if he's going to continue to make them. But certainly Mitchell Riggs was far too much latitude. We need to tighten up a bit on what what time and space he has. And, we need to, on review of the vision, it was too many defensive breakdowns that allowed them easy layups and, other guys just unattended close to the basket. So 10 3-pointers made is probably around average on the league for the season, so I'm not too concerned about that. It's just the combination of those plus the easy scores around the baskets. We can't have both. So they'll take one area away.
The turnout last week for at home must have been pretty impressive. Haven't seen a crowd like that in Shepparton for quite some time.
It's fantastic atmosphere. I mean, really pleased that both teams got to experience that type of atmosphere and final scenario in Shepparton. We're renowned for that in finals. I tell a lot of our imports when we're recruiting them and players that to play a regular season game in Shepparton is nothing compared to the final. So it was good for them to experience that. It's really pleased with the turnout, and us as an organisation, we're thrilled with the noise they created, the banner they have with the opposition, and it's good for our sponsors and really good coverage from our media outlets as well. Just keeps promoting the sport and growing the sport, which is what we're there to do.
No, that's exactly right, and it gives us something good to talk about in that regard as well. Hey, Lee, Matt Bartlett went down hard on his ankle probably midway through that third quarter last week. How's he pulled up this week, and is he a chance to be playing big minutes again tonight and possibly into tomorrow?
Well, he'll play, no question. He's had a light week, barely trained at all this week, so it's just the nature of the beast, the ankles, and there's another Corey Standerfer impact in the game, wasn't it? It was a big block. It was a forceful landing on a what's been a pretty tender ankle all year. So it's he'll play, but train very lightly. Recovery from tonight through to tomorrow, if we get to that third game, is just going to be huge, and how he pulls up tomorrow, it's a little bit scary for not just for Matt, for the whole team. The past few weeks, we pushed Tuesday night trainings back to Wednesdays because we could barely walk for 3 or 4 days, some of our guys, after the weekend. So yeah, we'll do our best and utmost, and maybe jump in the salt water down there at Chelsea overnight might help.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully it's not going to be 1 or 2 degrees like it was during the week in that regard for the boys. But another bloke to make a big impact was in his limited game time. Ian Wright put a nice offensive, well, I thought it was a very nice offensive screen on one of the Chelsea goals early on in the game, but made his impact felt across the ground, across the court.
Yeah, and probably rightly was a foul, but I don't think there was any malice or anything into it. Just catch a defender unawares and unprotected at times, and Mitch Riggs went down and spent a bit of time off the court. But we need to play a more physical brand of basketball. If we can get everybody screening with that intent, it'll free up our shooters and more handlers, that's for sure. We're not a very good team at setting good physical screens, so hopefully we can improve on that for this week. We're going to need to. So Ian's probably well renowned for setting a few of those screens, both at training and during the games against the opposition.
Yeah, fair enough. Spencer and Cameron obviously played, in a lot of ways, a little bit of a lone hand, scoring 24 and 23 points respectively. Jake Cowling the next with 19. Their thoughts on, or your thoughts on what they need to do to probably bring it to the next level?
Well, watching the vision during the week, it's an area that really concerns us. For the first half of a lot of games this year, we've gone inside. Spencer's had a really good start to the games, and then we just go away from that area. I don't know whether it's a concentration thing or we get a bit fatigued and our decision-making gets impacted with that. But certainly been identified in the video sessions this week that we went away from what was working well for us in the second half, and it's something that the good teams, and in particular Chelsea, don't do. They keep milking their winning areas, such as Dorsser and Mitch. They kept going to them all the time, and they had a massive impact on the game. So it's been identified numerous times. We've just got to have the guys under pressure in a hostile crowd environment, be able to think clearly and get that done. I think if we can get Spencer and Jake more touches down in the post, it frees everyone else up, and we start to score from high percentage areas.
Speaking of around the post and fouls in the key, there, you must be pretty happy with the boys from the free throw line. I can spit that one out. We shot, with the exception of only Jake Cowling missing one. We hit every free throw that was made available to us. You must have been pretty impressed with that Saturday night.
Yeah, we'd just like a few more. So game 1 of the semi-finals, game 2 of the semi-final series against Keysborough, we got to the free throw line 34 times and we only got there 15 this week. So that's a discrepancy or gap of 20 from one game to the next. So we'd like to get there more. A lot of that's out of our hands. It depends on how they're calling the game too. But I think some of the shot selection, if we can take away the contested perimeter shots and throw it inside more to them boys and let them go to work and put a bit more pressure on the defenders and draw some fouls on them. But we will get a much more opportunity and hopefully continue that percentage. But having known us all year, that's the best we've shot from the free throw line all year. So hopefully that continues for us.
No, that's exactly right, and hopefully it does, because they're in a lot of ways free buckets that you get a chance to get points at in regards to that one. Anyway, but obviously, has the week been pretty positive, to be perfectly honest?
Yeah, yep. Really challenge the boys and make sure they're concentrating on making sure they believe they can get the job done. It's one thing to talk the talk, but you've got to really believe. And, as you say, we refer back to, we were dead dog-tired the day we played them at Chelsea and beat them. We had injuries through the game. We had Jake Cowling go down early. We had only 7 guys available. Cameron Vine smashed his head on the court late in the game and had some delayed concussion symptoms. And so we've faced adversity down there before and beat them. Not in the grand final series, but we've had some real adverse times through the year. We've just got to lock it in play to the capabilities of what our group's capable, or levels our group's capable of playing at. So I don't think we played to our best ability on Saturday night. We're there for 80-85% of the time. We're going to need to be there for 100% of the time this week. But, well and truly capable. We've got plenty of areas that we've identified that we can clean up on. So we just push on and see if we can get it to that third game and build the pressure on them for the Sunday.
I spoke to Spencer briefly after the game on Saturday night, and that was actually one thing that he did mention a fair bit of. He didn't feel like that we were there 100% of the time, and even going back to the elimination final to watch that game on the last weekend compared to the elimination final, it was completely a different sort of outlook. And whether or not the boys have just gone up that a little bit too early, or just had that little bit of a rush and all that, but I think Spencer also mentioned briefly that he was like, no, we definitely have a huge upside, and we're going to be looking at that for the next couple of games.
Yeah, I think he's right, and I know he's right, because we understand what we're capable of better than anyone around the traps. So, the other thing we need to consider is the rise in pressure and class of the opposition and all that sort of stuff as well. So we're not fronting up against a Keysborough. It's a whole different beast. A very potent team offensively, very a big team across the board as well. So I think whilst you only play as well as the opposition let you half the time, but watching the vision during the week, we let ourselves down a lot of the times with just some really basic breakdowns defensively and offensively, and we can rectify them, keep hanging about. We'll put ourselves in a position to have the chances. We've just got to take those chances. As same in any sport. If you're not taking the chances and putting scoreboard pressure on, it comes back to bite you at some stage.
The final one from me, mate. Are you delivering one of the best Al Pacino type speeches Saturday night to get the boys revved up, or are we going in there and just making sure that they go out and enjoy the night, and whatever happens, whether we go to Sunday, and if we don't, well, we've had a great year? Which side of the speech are we looking at?
What do you suggest? What do you suggest for me, Brandon? I'm open to anything.
I'd love to see one of the best coaches' speeches of all time, mate. One of the greatest Al Pacino ones that get about 16 million hits on YouTube.
I think Lee wants to go all the way.
I might have to do some research into it, but no, we just typically with mine, it's just about process and what we need to do well. But do get a bit passionate and fired up, and maybe that side will come out a little bit more on Saturday night. Anything to get the boys over the line, I'm happy to contribute.
Love your work, mate. Best of luck.
Yeah, well, we'll leave you go. I know it's you're probably getting ready to get on the bus and all that sort of stuff, so we'll leave you to it. Thank you very much for joining us again this afternoon on what's been obviously a ripper weekend for you, and hopefully you can enjoy a couple of really good days, and you can come home with the premiership on tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. All the best, and we'll talk to you again next week.
No, thank you very much for all your support during the year too, guys. And I know we'll be giving it our best shot. We're really proud of the effort that the boys of the group and the club's been able to achieve this year. But it'd be just sensational if we can find 2 wins this weekend.
No, that's exactly right. And I'm sure all of Shepparton will be behind you in some way, shape or form. Thanks very much, Lee. All the best.
No worries. Thanks, boys.
Cheers. Lee Bathman there, the coach of the Shepparton Gators, and I'll tell you what, they will be giving it absolutely everything tonight, and then if they give it everything tonight, I'll guarantee you they'll jump in the water, and they'll be giving it everything tomorrow afternoon as well.
Can't see why they can't do it MVD. They've beaten us here at home.
Well, exactly.
And we've beaten them down there all year, so you said it last week, and I can't see why we can't do it.
7 o'clock tip-off tonight. If anyone's not doing anything, get down to the Chelsea Stadium, and I'll tell you what, you might have to get there early. If anything like last week's anything to go by, they had probably about 150 to 200 people there at the Shepparton Basketball Stadium, and they were loud. They were very loud in that regard. So 7 o'clock tip-off tonight. Make sure you get down there if you can and support the Shepparton Gators. And then find accommodation somewhere. If the Gators get up, find accommodation somewhere and make sure you're there for Game 3. Because I tell you what, Game 3 will be huge. do or die, no holds barred. Game 3 will be massive.
It'll be on MVD, 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, again at Patterson River Stadium there in Chelsea. So we can't see what can't be done. Believe in never, MVD.
Oh, these guys have been such fantastic all through the year. They've been unbelievable. Your Jake Cowlings, your Cameron Vines, your Spencer Colemans. These guys are just absolutely huge. Even Nick Dodd, like the kid,
incredible.
The guy's only a young kid coming through and all that sort of stuff. He's been unbelievable the way he's played his basketball this year. Had an absolute, to be perfectly honest, had a shocker last week. Didn't see him until the last quarter. Didn't actually know that he was out there until the last quarter. But in all honesty, he is one bloke that I'll guarantee you will come up and will be up for a big chance for everyone this weekend. So
yeah, absolutely.